Good morning. Thank you for joining me this morning on this next Facebook Live. Hope y'all doing okay. I am Eva Birch and I'm living in northeastern Ohio where it was snowing this morning after being 70 degrees yesterday. It's crazy. So just a quick disclaimer. I'm new to Facebook Live, so I'm gonna do the best that I can. I hope you can bear with me. My camera person is working from home today, so I'm on my own. So hopefully we can do this. So again, I'm Eva Birch and I'm one of the GAMO hand-guided educators. And today's topic that we're going to talk about is my favorite marking tools. Having gone on the tour last year and teaching classes other places and just seeing what's being discussed on the different Facebook groups, marking tools and how to mark, what to mark with, how to remove the marking tools are always number one question. So I thought we're going to talk about that today. Now, to me, I am not brand specific. If I'm going to talk about something, I want to try all the different tools that are available, and then depending on how I want to use them, that's how I choose what tools I'm going to be using. So let's get started. One of the tools I like to use when I'm going to want to mark stencils, then rather than using a marking pen, I'd like to use the Pounce pad. And this particular Pounce is the ultimate Pounce, and so it easily comes off, including with an iron. So how do you use the Pounce? A lot of people think they have to pounce across the stencil, but essentially you just put your powder in here, your chalk. And one of the tricks my friend Jody Robinson taught me, that in order to store this powder and have better control when you're pouring it into your container, is putting it in a water bottle. So once you have your powder in there, you're going to slightly bang it onto your table. And now I hope you can see this, you slightly swipe the Pounce pad across your surface, and then you have some beautifully marked lines. I hope you can see this. Let me move this. Told you this was trial and error. So that's the Pounce pad. And also, if you have any questions, just put them on there and I will try to answer them later. So that's again the Pounce pad. Now, if I'm going to want to do rough marking just to have an area that I'm going to divide into smaller sections, my favorite tool and probably the most expensive tool you ever will have is this chalk holder with a stick of school chalk that you can get very inexpensively at any box store. And the nice part is that if you have a crayon sharpener, you can sharpen this very nicely. Look at the nice point I have. Now again, I wouldn't use that for detail marking, but for sure, for some rough marking or something that's not very precise. So as you can see, it makes a very nice line, and I can just use that as one of my marking tools. Now, how do we remove that? Obviously, if I'm going to wash the quilt, it'll come right off. But what I like about that, I can take a microfiber cloth and I can just swipe over it. And for the most part, if you don't have a heavy hand like I do, it comes off very nicely. You can also, and again, this was a gift from Jody. This is actually a bug remover for your car. And that works well also because it has a rough surface. So very inexpensive things that you probably have laying around in the house will remove the chalk very nicely. Now, so we talked about the chalk, and there is other type of chalk pencils available. Again, it to me doesn't matter what brand they are, but whether or not they serve the purpose that I'm going to need it for. So if I want to mark very precise lines, I may use something. This happens to be a Bowen pen. They're also available by Soline or Pounce and Porter. Again, different brands. But what I like about it, and I hope again you can see that, is that the lines are very, very precise because the chalk is so fine. Then we have another one here, and this, I'm not even sure what brand it is. I believe it's Bowen. And this one is much thicker, and what the difference is between this and this one, that this one stays on very nicely because it's more oil-based than the other one. So, and this one also makes a very nice clear mark on your fabric. This one also works well if you're wanting to mark a stencil, because it fits nicely in the grooves of the stencil without breaking like maybe that really fine one. I have a heavy hand and it breaks off very easily for me. So now we also, these are fairly new. These are by Soline, and they're also chalk markers. They come in white and in blue. And again, these fit very nicely if you're wanting to mark with a stencil or just for some more precision marking. I like to do a lot of straight line quilting, and I like to mark ahead of time before I load my fabric. So I want to make sure that I'm going to be using something that stays on there till I'm getting ready to use it. Till I'm getting ready to quilt it. So these are the type of chalk markers. I'm sure there are many others out there that would work equally well. I try to stay with the white, and in this particular case, the blue works well for lighter fabrics. But because I quilt for other people, I'm careful what I'm using. So the markers that we're gonna talk about next, again, there is many different brands available. You should try them out, what works best for you, what works best to remove for your purposes. Again, it's different if you quilt for yourselves or for other people. You have to really consider that, because if not, you may have some problems. So let's move this fabric and do some lighter fabric here. And we can use the blue marker. Oops, this one doesn't want to show up on this fabric. Bear with me. So I hope you can see this. This makes a nice fine line, the blue, and this is a wash away marker. So again, before you start using that, make sure you test it on the fabric to make sure whether or not it's going to come out. So we have different options. There is a nice pen, and that is an eraser pen by Clover. You can use that because what happens is you literally just take the marker off where you need it to. You don't have to spray the entire fabric. You know, of course, use a spray bottle. If you spray the whole area, you know, your fabric, if you're not sure if it was pre-washed, may bleed. So there's also another great product available. It's a blue line eraser, and you can put that also in a syringe to get your blue markers off. So again, there's different methods to remove the blue marker. However, again, be sure what fabric you're dealing with, because, you know, I'm sure most of us that quilt for others have had a nightmare experience. Now, one of the things to consider too is there's some pens that are being marketed as tools for quilting when we're really not sure how they're going to react down the road. So before we recommend something to others, always make sure that you try it out for yourselves. Now, we talked about the wash away markers, and then we also have the air erase markers. And those are usually purple. This one here is a Marby marker. And the reason why I like that, even though I've tried out, you know, other brands, this one here, unlike some of the other ones I have used, it says on here that it disappears in 2 to 14 days. Well, so that of course depends where you live, because if you live in an area that's humid, like in Florida, it may not last the 14 days, you know, so it all depends where you live. But what I've experienced is, because I pre-mark large areas, I can mark a large area without worrying about that it comes, it goes away before I even get to quilt the area. So again, different types of air erase markers. Try out what works best for you. And the air erase comes out by itself, or if you're in a hurry because you want to see what the quilting looks like and take pictures, you can also, you know, wash your quilt, and it comes out as well. One more item I want to talk about, and the reason why I want to talk about that, because we talked about marking tools, and these are, yes, and I lost my train of thought now. They're drawing circles, and the reason why I'm mentioning them today, and I'm showing who makes them, these are by Barncat Studios, Candace West, and the reason why I'm bringing them up here is because, I don't know if you can see it, they have different size holes. That means that you can use them with your different type of marking tools. There is one for most all of the different size marking tools, and you can use them with your ruler. Let me try one of those, because they represent your hopping foot, and so you can see and draw out in real life what your design is going to look like. So that's just another companion to go with your drawing tools, and I hope you could see that. If not, I apologize. So thank you so much for joining me this morning, and I just want to make sure you tune in again this afternoon at 3 o'clock Central Time, and again tomorrow morning at 10:30 Central Time. Also, please check out the newest series on Gamble Facebook page, the latest thread. There's some fun stuff there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer those in a bit. Have a good day.